people who decided they were going to start a strength training program. And within 90 days, 90% of them quit.
You need to change up the muscle groups. You need to change out what you're doing.
Not true, actually.
Oh, no, don't do this to me
Total
now.
lie.
I just feel like I understand something.
Yeah. Muscle confusion theory is absolute BS.
Great.
Don't switch up your exercises. You don't need to mix it up. You don't need to add variety. You don't brush your teeth with a toilet brush just to make it fun and interesting and have some variety.
Hello, and welcome to the Liberty Spenders podcast. We are Kurt and Kristen Ludart, your hosts and co-founders of the Prosper Group, an agency that's helped raise over $500 million and help elect over 100 members of Congress, 15 governors, 15 U.S. senators, and 1 president. So business owners, what if you could exponentially grow your business by tapping into a lucrative and engaged audience, 76.5 million people that we call Liberty Spenders? These Americans spend $5 trillion a year, and they're motivated to buy from businesses and brands that share their values. If you want to learn more about that, you can get access to our new best-selling book at libertyspenders.com/free.
Our guest today is Dr. John Jaquish. He is a biomedical engineer and inventor who's revolutionizing health and fitness. He created OsteoStrong, which is a bone density building technology, and he partnered with Tony Robbins. And I am wearing a Tony Robbins hat today.
And I have had the OsteoStrong scan.
Yeah. And he's also got the X3 bar, which is a variable resistance system proven to build muscle faster with minimal joint stress. It's used by elite athletes in the NFL and Miami Heat and other NBA players and Olympians. He's also got a Wall Street Journal best-selling book sharing his innovative approach to human physiology. Dr. John, thanks for joining us.
Yes, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah.
We are so pumped about this. I'd like to become your target customer, right? Like I want to get to that place. I just think what you do is incredible. And having experienced one of your products, I just know that you're going to have a lot of value to add and a lot of information to share for those of us who know it's important to be healthy. And as we age that, our fitness and muscle makeup is just so important, right? To living a long and healthy life. So we appreciate you.
Well, I hope I deliver a good interview.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Like the lead up is great. Let's see what you guys ask me.
I think that Kristen brings up a good point. And, we all know folks, and there's maybe at least one in the room on this side who start a fitness routine, then they drop it because life gets busy and, they think, okay, I don't have an hour and a half to, I need to diet, but I also should probably go lift weights so I can look good, but that takes a lot of time and I got to go to the gym. And how do you make it easier? What's part of your philosophy to help people to stick with it and actually get some results?
Well, you actually gave me a great point to take off on. In 2023, lifehack.com did a huge survey, and they figured out that 90% of people quit their fitness routine that they have committed to. So I'm not talking about casual exercisers that go in like once a month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about people who decided they were going to start a strength training program. And within 90 days, 90% of them quit.
Mm.
Wow.
So time is a thing, but I don't think that's why people quit.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they got any results at all, they would prioritize it. The reason people quit is because the result of 3 months of lifting weights is 0 for most people. Like they get absolutely nothing out of it. And I think it's a little bit of a masculinity problem in that guys don't want to talk about how they tried lifting weights, but it didn't make them stronger. Like nobody wants to brag about, hey, I'm inadequate. Like, I mean, well, women would, because it, it gives them more victimhood. Liberal women, I should say. But
yeah, I understand. But we like to commiserate.
There's a group of people that would
There's
love
a bit
another
of that.
reason for
Let's
them
share our pain together.
to feel sorry for themselves. Right. Guys aren't like that. Like they go in, they try and get stronger. It's like, God, everything I do just doesn't seem to do anything. So they quit because they don't get results. They don't quit because of time. Because if they got results, they would find the time. And that's why we have NFL players. Like clearly they saw the result, they continued to commit themselves, and they went further and further and further. And this happens to people who have the right genetic makeup very early in life. Most NFL players are identified between the ages of 12 and 14. So their coaches are like, all right, we're going to put you to the side. We're going to make sure we're going to try and get you, make sure you don't get in as much trouble as your friends do. Get you focused on getting into the right college, have the right scouts looking at you. So my issue with standard fitness is that it doesn't work for not just 90% of people, because in that extra 10% that sticks with their program, they might quit in 120 days. So there's a reason, here's another crazy statistic. 6.6% of American males over the age of 18 have used or are currently using anabolic steroids. But why don't 6.6% of men look fit? If that's the answer. Well, it turns out that's not the answer. Because if you can't grow naturally, you're not going to grow with drugs either. So what's really the issue? The issue is when most people lift, they're not gifted with advantageous tendon insertions. So like the origin of my pectorals in the middle of the chest, and the insertion is somewhere on the humerus bone. Typically, it's right here at the top. But the people that end up in the NFL, it's further down the bone. So when they come back in a chest press and they fire forward, they're almost spring-loaded to fire forward. So like they're bypassing a part of the weak range of motion by their tendon elasticity, because they have a longer tendon, more elastic, basically function. So like when you run a sprint, 17% of your energy is called recycled energy, because it's just from the stretched Achilles tendon. As that tendon snaps back into place, that propels you faster. 17% of that energy is not calories. It's not a muscle contraction. It's not done with your mind. It's just the reflex of stretching the tendon and having it fire back into place. When you look at that dynamic and look at how few people have those genetics, that's why people quit. They're not getting anything out of fitness. So like if you do something for 3 months and the result is zero, are you going to keep doing it? No, you'd be an idiot for continuing to waste your time. I think most people just quit. They just walk away and they go, well, I'll do something else. Maybe strength is not for me. Maybe I'll get into endurance. Like I have a lot of really smart friends that do triathlons. Ultimately, I was like, what got you into this? And there's a long, I got to dig it out of them, because again, nobody wants to admit their inadequacies. But they're like, when I was younger, I went into the gym. I really wanted to be like a strength athlete, but it just didn't happen for me. But I was okay at this other thing.
Yep.
Now, the real answer is, if instead of lifting a standard weight, which by the way is only relevant in your weak range of motion, also called the stretched range of motion. Like when you're on a bench press, this is the only place the weight is heavy. Because if you can handle it, you're 7 times stronger here than you are here. Yeah. So it's basically only relevant to you in the stretched position, which is where you have the least amount of muscle firing and have the highest likelihood of cumulative joint damage. So that's why I wrote the book, Weightlifting is a Waste of Time. Yeah. And,
Wow.
and
I know, with a picture of, I don't know who that is, somebody looking jacked.
that was me. Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. That's nice.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So I wrote that book, and I'm trying to point out to people like a standard weight. I mean, is there application for it? Do I think we should throw all weights away? No, not necessarily. But what most people are looking for is not going to be provided by that. You need to vary the resistance. So when I do a chest press, I'm holding 550 pounds at the top. And as I lower, just a few inches from lockout, it's 400 pounds. Then in the middle, it's about 300 pounds. And at the bottom, it might be 175 pounds. So I'm going to do however many repetitions I can do until I can't reach that peak. So having a high ratio of variance is really important, because that way I can go to fatigue multiple times in this exercise experience. So as soon as I can't get to the top anymore, it's like, okay, now I'm just going to shorten my repetition. So now I'm just doing reps with 400 pounds. And then I can't get there anymore. Then I'm doing reps with 300 pounds. Then I can't get there anymore. Now I'm doing reps with 175 pounds. Now I've taken all possible ranges with all possible capacities for creating force, all to fatigue with a fresh muscle that's full of glycogen, because it's your first set that matters the most. People don't realize that.
No, I was going to say that's interesting.
Well,
later on,
like it was the last
you've
set.
already spent your glycogen. You're not really there for it.
So this is interesting. And I like how you've just explained that, which I'll have to process a little bit, but there's a science to this. And I've never heard anybody explain it like you just did. It makes sense.
I think I'm the first person that's documented this. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then there you go. Because it makes sense though, as you're describing it. And as I'm thinking about like, where is it the most difficult, right? When you're lifting, or if you, put this to another position, that makes sense, right? That's your weakest point. And so the fact that you're changing that up, I know for us, learning about variation has been a huge thing for me in the last few years, is just understanding that. Don't do the same thing. You need to change up the muscle groups. You need to change out what you're doing.
Not true, actually.
Oh, no, don't do this to me now.
Yeah,
I just feel like I understand something.
Yeah. Muscle confusion theory is absolute BS.
Great. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here to set us straight, because, but I'm hearing what you're saying about the resistance variation, right? Or the weight. So, okay. Because I was thinking, all right, both of these go together, but maybe not.
Yeah, they don't go together, because that other thing is not true.
All right.
It was an interesting idea. It's like one of those things where you hear it and you're like, that might make some sense.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put it to scientific tests, which the American College of Sports Medicine had many of their scientists do after all the research was done, sticking to the exact same movement over and over and over again for years on end is what gives you the best result by far.
Okay. Well,
yeah. Don't switch up your exercises. You don't need to mix it up. You don't need to add variety. You don't brush your teeth with a toilet brush just to make it fun and interesting and have some variety. You use a toothbrush, because that's the only thing you're supposed to use. That's the only thing that makes sense. So you get multi-joint movements that deliver huge forces to the muscle with variable resistance, and don't change anything. Just go. Just be consistent.
But that's exactly opposite of what I've been told. I did weightlifting for a few months. Just before COVID, we used to have an office right across the street from a gym, basically. And it was real convenient for me. I had this great guy who's a trainer. And when I did weightlifting, I'd do 30, 45 minutes. And I was on, 7, 8, 9, 10 different things, different ranges of motion. And so you're saying repetitive exercise would have been better.
Yeah. It's really just, does muscle confusion work or not, which is really, now that doesn't mean you don't maybe switch up the cadence. Or for a while you might want to go low repetitions, high weight. And then for a while you might want to try higher repetitions with a faster cadence or explosive. So variations like that is really important to the NFL because they want to be able to recruit muscle when they're pushing on somebody or when they have to explode at somebody or sprint. Slow activation. Slow activation actually helps incredibly with speed. Ironically, the slower you activate a muscle, because it gives you control. And control isn't just conscious. It becomes subconscious too. So that's in neurology, they call this the difference between short-term potentiation, which is like just kind of getting used to something, or like a warm-up, like, okay, now I'm better at doing this because I practice it for a minute, to long-term potentiation, like a golfer. Like their golf swing is the same every time.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so let's break this down. So we know how you got started, although I'm sure you've got a story to tell about this, because my understanding is it all started with you trying to help fight back against osteoporosis. And
it was from my mom. My mom was diagnosed.
I'd love to have you share a little bit of that just for our listeners to understand your journey, because it's a fascinating one of how you got to where you are right now.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
My mom was diagnosed with osteoporosis and she was heartbroken. Like her favorite things were hiking, gardening, and tennis. And when she came home, she says, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis and I can't do any of the things anymore that I love to do. Otherwise, I'm going to have a fragility fracture. And she was crying. And I'm like, by the way, she was like in her early 60s when this happened. And I thought, okay, I'm going to look into this because I don't want my mom to think her life is ruined. Like maybe there's something I can learn about this. So as I began reading, it's like, oh, this is a disease of deconditioning. It's not a pathogen. Like you don't catch osteoporosis. It just means you haven't been putting mechanical load through your body. Well, also there's no good way to put relevant mechanical load through the body. The minimum dose response for the hip joint in force is 4.2 multiples of body weight. Well, I know the world record holder for the squat. He's a friend of mine, Matt Winning. He's got a 1,200 pound squat and he weighs 300 pounds. That is not enough force to stimulate bone density growth. So if the strongest squat guy on earth can't get to the minimum dose response, then seems like weightlifting is not really the way to go. However, high impact can give you 10 multiples of body weight. That's what it does for gymnasts. So the challenge to me was, okay, how do I get the benefit of high impact without the risks? So I created a medical device that does exactly that. That was the beginning of OsteoStrong.
Yeah, the OsteoStrong thing, which I know a couple of people who've used it to great effect. Like I said, we had been introduced to it because Tony used to promote it in the sort of hallway outside of his events.
Oh, he still does.
Yeah. Well, so you invented this. How did that all come together? Because that seems fascinating. So you invent the machine. How'd you get connected with Tony in all of this?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me that, and they think I got some formula how to get through to influential people.
We know how that feels.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my answer sucks. Tony called me.
Wow.
And it's interesting because Joe Rogan has an interesting explanation as to how to get on his podcast. He's like, don't ask your friends who have been on my podcast to connect you. Don't bother my staff. If you want to be on my podcast, number one, be profound. Like have something that's profound. Also, be ubiquitous. Have people come up to me and say, why haven't you had this guy on yet? He's like, that's how you get on my podcast. It's like, okay. I mean, like that makes sense because that's kind of the Tony situation. And he says, you have a breakthrough technology that's going to help millions of people. I want in. How do I participate? Okay. Yeah. First step is you got to start using it. So he bought one for every one of his homes.
Wow. Well, I mean, that is a formula, right? You had an amazing product. And it wasn't. And that's often, we do some help with business owners who want to do like brand ambassador deals.
Mm-hmm.
And although there are lots of ways you can approach somebody, number one, most important thing is it's really hard and difficult to want to be an ambassador for a bad product, right?
It's like step one.
So step one, have a good one and find somebody who cares. And I know Tony cares about this sort of thing because of all the challenges his body goes through when he's up on stage for 3 days straight. And so he's always
3
looking,
or 5,
for medical intervention. When we were in his platinum group and then his Lions group, you get to know him a little better. And I really, really fully understood at that point just how much like he's taken his body through in 40 years of
beat up. He's also 6'8".
Yeah.
I know.
To be 6'8" in over 50 in itself is just abusive to joints because the taller you are, the more mechanical tension is going through those joints.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see super tall people living very long.
Mm. Well, then maybe I'm glad I stopped at 6 foot then.
I think you're way better off, literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not something that helps you live a long time.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you guys did a plat year. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh no, we did 4.
Yes.
We got very, very deep into it and we only had to back off. We've got 2 little kids. We were late starting our family and all the travel was just brutal. I was bringing my son and I thought, okay, I'm going on this trip and I'm like trying to breastfeed and do all this. And I thought this is a little nuts. But yeah, we did, nearly 4 years and Kurt was, one of his Lions. So, I got jealous. He's hanging out at Tony's house and I get to see the, pictures later of all the fun things they're doing,
Well, what's funny is...
Although not yours.
Not
you did
mine,
not take any pictures.
They asked that we not, they have a young daughter now.
Yes.
And so the request was don't take any pictures in the house, especially when she's around. And so I stuck to it rigidly. And I feel like there are a couple of the members who are like snapping because he's got this cool, if you've ever been in it, he's got this cool basement with a bowling alley.
Yeah.
You mean his Florida house? Yeah. I've been
there. Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. And I highly recommend it for anybody who's never been to a Tony Robbins event. I would highly recommend it.
Incredible.
And I'd highly recommend his platinum program.
Mm-hmm.
We'd still be doing it if we didn't have 2 kids under 5, 5 and under. It would just became difficult to travel all that time. But super awesome guy.
It was life-changing.
Yeah.
Tremendous. So big fans. We owe a lot to him.
Cool.
He did a lot to impact our life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so OsteoStrong, creating something cool like that, that's a great lifetime achievement. What made you pivot and say, I'm going to invent also something new in X3? What was there a moment?
My first priority was just helping my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I got her bone density back to that of a 30-year-old when she was in her 60s. So I was like, all right, I fixed this problem. And now I got all the patents because I filed for over 100 patents on the device in 37 different countries. Because that's how you enforce patent protection. A lot of people just get a US patent and then they're upset when somebody's copying them in China.
Yep.
And it's like, well, why didn't you get a Chinese patent? Like they respect their own patents. Why would they respect anybody else's? We don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like if something's patented in China and you want to make it in the United States, people will be like, okay, well, we just won't sell to China then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to get a patent in every country. I mean,
absolutely.
You don't really need Nauru.
Right.
Like there are some countries that don't really matter very much. That would be one of them. But other than places like Nauru or maybe Moldova or something like that, get a patent if your idea is good, get it everywhere.
Yep.
And retain attorneys in all those countries. So I've shut down 7 different companies that were knocking us off in China.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that could be
I'm shocked. Yeah.
That could be a podcast episode in and of itself. It's a major problem, I know, for a lot of folks who manufacture. You build a great product, you stick it on Amazon, and 3 months later, you've got 3 Chinese knockoffs being sold on the site.
All 7 of those companies that I shut down were all on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what they get for stealing.
Yeah.
Patent infringement is just stealing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
100%. So I like that the routines are, it sounds like, just 10 or 20 minutes to use the X3. Is that sort of how you optimize it?
Two important things to point out about variable resistance. Number one, it solves the engagement problem. Most people will not grow from regular weights because they can't engage enough musculature as they're moving the weight. And it's because of the tendon layout, genetics. Now, here's an example of that you can just see with your eyes. If you look at sprinters, turn on any sprint event, go to YouTube sprinters, you'll notice every one of them has really high calf muscles. Now, African-American people typically have really high calf muscles. And when's the last time you saw a white sprinter?
Right.
Like the 1970s?
Right.
Right? I mean, it's been a bit. Now, there are a couple out there, but they're not good. They don't make it to the Olympics. So high calves, meaning there's a lot more tendon than there is. Now, the muscle grows, but it's bunched up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a perfect example of somebody who has a mechanical advantage because they basically got a rubber band built into their leg that propels them forward. Well, why don't we just take that variability, since the rest of us don't have those genetics? Why don't we just train with rubber bands?
Mm-hmm.
Like, also, Tom Brady, perfect example, guy that does all of his training banded. Everything he does, banded.
Well, I was going to say, like, we know that some of those clients, like I don't mean to bury the lead, but we've seen some of that stuff. Tom Brady, Anthony Davis, Terrell Owens, like using X3. There's a whole section of stuff on the website. You've got MMA. You've got, incredible people, swimmers. So we know that obviously this is valuable. So just, again, I just interrupted you, but break it down for, people who are not participating at that level, the value there so that we can understand.
So it's better engagement of musculature, and that better engagement allows you to go to a more significant level of fatigue with multiple fatigue points very quickly. So imagine every workout, there is there's only so many useful energy expenditure points that every muscle in your body has. So the fuels in the cell that allow the repetitive contractions, there's three fuels. There's ATP, glycogen, and creatine phosphate. You don't need to remember this, by the way. But there's three fuels that are held within the musculature. And when you burn through those fuels and continue to do more exercise, that is referred to as junk volume. Meaning, you're increasing your exercise volume, but you're not really getting much out of it because you're not able to train to fatigue. You don't have the fuels within the musculature to do that. So I think a lot of people, they're barely getting any stimulus because the weight's only relevant in the weak range of motion if they're lifting a regular weight. And then on top of that, they try and make up the difference with added volume, but it ends up being junk volume because they end up burning through the glycogen and getting a poor stimulus. This is why people quit. This is why most people just say, okay, strength training is just not for me, I guess. Or I'm going to wait for some advancement because clearly this doesn't work. And it's funny, like, I feel like aside from the NFL players who instantly understand the problem because they're thinking about it, most people are just sheep. They just do what the guy next to him is doing. So the guy next to him is going to the gym, like, okay, I'll go to the gym too. And they don't really ever do any critical thinking as to like, is this working? Is it working as good as it worked for everybody else? If not, maybe I'm not doing the right thing for myself. My customer is typically people who have attempted to build a bunch of muscle lifting weights, and they couldn't do it. And they just sort of went, okay. Well, the good news with variable resistance is I've never met a person who gave it an honest effort that did not grow way more muscle than they expected they could ever have.
Well, and it sounds like the X3 bar is solving for that, right? Because that's the whole point of it's set up to get you that.
There are people, there's probably more than 1,000 people who say on our forum, we have a Facebook forum, like a users group, more than 1,000 people in there that will say on a regular basis, I put on more muscle in 6 months with X3 than I did 10 years of lifting weights.
Good grief. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, they're starting to gain muscle like teenage NFL players, like guys before they go into the NFL, because all of a sudden they can use all of their muscle. Most people cannot without that genetic variability. Like I said, the high calf muscles. Like, why is it that one certain group of people seems to be a lot faster than the others? Well, they're like built different. They have bigger tendons.
Well, and what I think is interesting about this is how you started trying to help and solve this for your mother, which is so beautiful. And I think you even shared before we started recording how many women you've helped.
Yeah.
Not that it's only for women, but yeah, I think you said it was over 1 million, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of men that use osteo. So this is OsteoStrong, which is different than X3.
I know.
Right.
But
I just want the listener
to clarify for the listener. Please.
Yeah.
What I think is cool is, so you've got this and people know how important it is, bone health and all of this again for longevity. And what I don't think maybe there's not enough attention to is how important, again, muscle mass for metabolism. Again, all of this goes to longevity. And of course, we want to help people be very productive in their business and in their community, how they lead their family. And so all of that starts with our health, right? We all know we don't have our health. We don't have anything, right? What do they say about that? Is that,
the healthy person has a million dreams. The unhealthy one has one. Has one
wish, right? Yeah. Thank you. I was like, I'm going to botch this.
No, it's what did Michael Scott say? It's like an improvisation. You don't know what you're going to say, but you figure you'll land there.
Thank you for helping me. That's why I'm not alone in this. But I just want to call this out because I can already anticipate somebody listening to this and thinking, well, I'm not a pro athlete. I'm not trying to be an Olympian, right? This sounds too advanced, too special, too high level. And I want to help people. I want to bridge that gap. And so that's where I'm trying to go. And I'm hoping you can help me do it because,
for sure,
we all know family members and these things contribute. They contribute to weight gain. They contribute to all kinds of clarity of thought, right? If we can be fit and healthy, that's just going to help us be more focused at work and get things done and obviously live a healthier life for our families.
So you said something really important. The two greatest drivers of long life are high levels of muscle and low levels of body fat. Part of the reason that's true is the more muscle you have, the less body fat you have. Because it's an engine that's running at all times. All my muscle has a caloric demand while I sleep. So I am using far more energy than my appetite would necessarily demand. So easier to be lean. Now, most people have never experienced this because they've never put on any muscle. Like even people who have spent a year weightlifting, their amount of accumulated muscle, probably maybe 3 or 4 pounds when they first started, first 2 weeks or something like that. And then that stops and then never again. So, I think this is 99% of the population. It might be 95% of the population. It's really hard because, like I said, most men don't want to brag about their genetic inadequacies. But it's like super obvious when you just walk into a fitness center year after year and you see the same people who have not changed a thing. And so, I hear what you're saying. Is it too advanced? Like NFL players are using it, so it might be intimidating for some women. Not at all. My wife is a fashion model. She doesn't look like one of those women who look like dudes who lift weights. She's very feminine, very fit. You can use it to the degree that you need to. But I think everybody should be using it because like you're going to get a level of strength that you would have never received otherwise. And that's going to be a massive driver for longevity. Even if you use it like 10 minutes a day, 3 days a week, just do like a full body workout, like 3 times a week. Oh, you will be so much further ahead than your peers.
Well, and again,
it's getting me excited.
I know.
Look at this.
Well, because we've done a lot with resistance bands, right? And we've had exercises to do those things. And so I understand, I've heard about that with resistance, but I think describing this product as you have it set up. Yeah, please do. Because this is what I think people that are interested in that, that's what they're doing.
I have a video that on my YouTube channel where I talk about bands by themselves do nothing. You might as well throw them in the trash. And the reason is because you need relevant loading, which means a lot higher than you think. So like I'm pushing 550 pounds at the top here. Now, not everybody's using 550 and there's different bands, but ultimately you're going to use a weight that is much higher than you think at peak.
Mm-hmm.
If you try and do it with a band, for most people, you just won't be able to engage because there'll be so much pain in your wrists because your wrists are being twisted like this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And your ankles, if you're stepping on a band, are being twisted like this. It takes 7 pounds of lateral force to break an ankle. Well, I deadlift 700 pounds with bands. So I need a metal plate that I'm standing on that the bands can freely travel underneath. That's part of the product. It's called the ground plate because it's the second ground. And you have to have a bar that you can grab a hold of, which keeps the wrist neutral. So if you have neutral wrists and neutral ankles, you're great. You can get so much more output out of the body than you thought you would ever have. Deeper level of exhaustion, deeper level of stimulus, far more growth. If you try and do it with a band by itself, you won't get to relevant loading. Like you might as well do nothing.
Yeah, well, right now our bands are primarily being used by our daughter to pretend they're necklaces.
Airing all of our dirty secrets here now on this podcast.
Yes, she wears them around the house.
Meaning we're not using them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So if I could switch gears a little bit, because again, a lot of our listeners and audience are business people. So I want them to take this seriously. I want to take this seriously myself. But what business lessons can you also share? You've learned a lot. You've written this book. You've done partnerships, deals. What might be some, business tip or lesson you could leave our audience who are striving entrepreneurs looking to build, launching their own products, and you've had such tremendous success?
Hey, business owners. Did you know there's 76.5 million faith-based and conservative consumers that are looking to support brands that align with their values?
That's a $5 trillion opportunity, and if you're not tapping into it, you're leaving money on the table. Our new book, Liberty Spenders, is your ultimate guide to reaching this influential audience using conviction-driven marketing.
That's right. We break down real-world strategies that successful brands are using right now to connect with this audience authentically, build trust, and drive long-term business growth.
So if you're truly serious about standing out in today's crowded market, grab your copy today on Amazon or visit libertyspenders.com. And don't miss out on this revolutionary strategy called conviction-driven marketing.
So no matter what, figure out how to make whatever you make in the United States.
Preach.
There is no such thing as a successful country that has a decent GDP that doesn't make products and ship them elsewhere. So everything Barack Obama did, Bill Clinton did, even George Bush, both senior and junior, really hurt America. I don't think they understood. Well, some of those guys don't understand anything, but I don't think they understood how badly globalism screwed over like the entire middle of America. Like, and if they did, then, well, they're going to hell. It is just horrible. Like you need to figure out how to support your fellow citizen. Like, I drive a Ferrari every day. I want everyone to drive a Ferrari every day. I want them all over the place. I want America to be lousy with Ferraris everywhere. And we can do it, but we got to make shit here. So everything I did was I approached vendors and I'm like, look, I want you to get really clever. How are we going to make this product cheaper here or same price as China? Because I know you're going to give me better quality. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm just worried about an economical starting manufacturing price. And so I did that with the OsteoStrong devices, which are made in Knoxville, Tennessee. And the X3 is made in Sacramento, California. If you're clever and you work with clever vendors, they can get you there. But I mean, the vendor selection process took years.
Are there some key lessons that you can think about to share for people that are in that process? Again, we interview so many people who are working on that, the supply chain. And I know depending on the product that they're working on, it can be varying levels of difficulty. But what's been some ways that you've been able to work through that?
High frequency of product testing. Like, you really have to test the hell out of your product. And it's for quality reasons. Like, you got to make sure it's perfect. You need to make sure that once you do that, you show your suppliers what kind of testing rigor that you have. And they don't want you to send back broken stuff. So then they're going to do that. So, but you need to show them, because if you don't test anything, or if you just, randomly say, oh, a bunch of them broke, customers sent them back, they're going to be like, oh, well, we'll just send you some more. Just take it off the bill. Don't do that, because that's just lazy. And
that's good advice.
And the customers get a bad experience. So you need to make sure all your customers have a dynamite experience. My goal was that people get X3, use it, succeed with it, and then email me or send me a message on social media saying this is the best product they've ever owned in their life. And I have tens of thousands of those emails. Now, number one, it works. So, it's a good product. So you have to have a good product. Number two, just relentless testing. So you get to the point where you're approaching, because you'll never quite get there, but you're approaching zero defects. That you have to be militant about that.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. And working with American suppliers, they understand that. Working with Chinese suppliers, their answer is just, they'll do testing on their own end and they'll throw away half of them.
And the lesson there, right, is ultimately it's a good business decision, but the customer experience, even if you get that replaced, like you said, even if the manufacturer, somebody makes you whole financially, that's not helping with creating a raving fan environment, right? And having those people share that. So I think that's such good advice, is to not look at the short gain or the short-term gain, but the long play, so that customer experience is exceptional, and they don't have any point of friction or a negative experience.
That's right.
So I think that's great. And it's a great lesson for people that are trying to solve that problem. And I think you shared with us that has it always been made in the US, or did you start overseas and then bring it here? So
my first version of osteogenic loading devices for bone density treatment was made in Foshan City, China. And I spent a lot of time there, and I like the Chinese people. I like the food. I got to eat Cobra a couple times. That was cool. But honestly, like, I gotta support my neighbors.
Yep.
Like, I want Americans to like, hey, you can call me a nationalist or whatever, but I love my country and I love my neighbors, and I want to support them. I want everybody here getting richer and not watching their jobs be outsourced to some other country. Those other countries need to be innovative, not just manufacture stuff for a few American people who are going to make a lot on their stock price, but then watch their neighborhoods fall apart. that's not a country I want to live in. Makes sense?
I love your passion. Yeah. I love your passion for this.
I know we only have a certain amount of time, but if you want to do like a 6 hour, we're just like railing on like what globalism has done to screw up our country, I could go.
Yeah. Well, I certainly respect that as somebody who, grew up in kind of rural Ohio with a dad who worked in a factory. And, one of the things in our country that obviously we're facing is this big gap in between the folks who are doing really well and the poor. This sort of middle class that I grew up in is increasingly gone. And I do believe that there is a reciprocal effect of let's make these things here. And we've accepted for far too long that we need to ship these kind of manufacturing responsibilities overseas. And we started seeing some of the problems during COVID when you couldn't get stuff here because everything's made overseas. And that's a weakness. That's a
risk.
Had that been, gone on.
Our bullets are made in China. We have environmental rules that says you can't make ammunition in the United States. How dumb is that?
It's crazy.
I don't know.
We're not going to get into any sort of military conflict with China because if we stopped spending money there, they would all die of starvation. They cannot afford to tell the United States to shove off. They just can't. Like they need us way more than we need them. So nobody really needs to worry about that. But let's just think of the logic of the fact that our military has to get their bullets from an economic adversary. I don't care what it does to the environment. By the way, the environment in China is the same environment we live in. So allowing third world countries to pollute and then at the same time saying, well, we stopped making that here because we care about the environment. No, you don't. Like, same planet.
Right.
You're wrong.
Yeah. Well, we got to be making our ammunition here.
I'm stunned because words. I don't know the facts about how, behind this. And I'm like, is this really true? Is this accurate? I'm going to have to do some.
I suppose I could be wrong, but
digging on that. I'm like, that can't be true.
I'm going by some articles that the NRA wrote.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Well, I would trust the NRA to know.
They know a couple things about guns.
Yeah, they sure do.
So basically some EPA regulations came down that were very specific anti-gun. And so no ammunition can be made in the United States. And I think maybe some of the one issue people, all they care about is guns and they would agree to being enslaved in their homes and being mass poisoned as long as we got rid of guns. So I'm describing liberals. So it's like, okay, you're so anti-gun, you're willing to damage the future of the nation.
Sure.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, you lost all credibility. I don't care what you think anymore.
Well, and even the argument before that, again, we grew up, I should say I grew up in and seeing the benefit of it is when you have a more global economy, right? The argument is that brings prices down. And so everybody benefits on being able to afford more things and where you have people that really excel. But again, there's the weakness that's been shown, right? Is in that supply chain and your vulnerability. That's right. That's also true. True. So you got to have.
Yeah. Cheaper products are only great when you're getting paid.
Yeah.
That's well said.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just like a child could figure this out. But the problem is, and this is a worldwide issue, is like all of a sudden we're making all these decisions via emotions. And we talk about racism all the time. It's an emotional conversation. Like if we took the emotion out of it, we wouldn't talk about how races view each other. We would talk about criminality statistics. But we don't want to have that conversation. So that's why the entire subject everybody's just tired of. We're not going to discuss the actual key metrics. So just forget it. Move on.
Yeah. Well, and there's all, like you said, there's all kinds of history and stories that go into that. And And so it is, you're right. It's very highly charged. And there's a lot of issues like that, right? Which is why everybody feels a little bit so polarized.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of good that can be done if we can sit across from each other, have a conversation like that. Because I think in the end,
a non-censored conversation.
Yeah, most of us are great, loving people who care about everyone, and regardless of race or ethnicity, but we're put into these sort of bad frameworks, right?
That is the strangest thing. Like you talk to a liberal and man, they want clean water, good schools, fair police, roads without potholes. They want to see value in the taxes they pay. It's like, wow, you sound like a conservative.
Check.
Then they're like, but, we need to be able to have men and women's rooms.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Stop it with this emotional stuff. Hey, I'm a Christian, which makes me be a nice guy sometimes, even though I probably shouldn't be. But I hear this and it's just like, okay, yeah, we want to be nice. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. But we also don't want to take that and throw all smart decisions in the trash as a result.
Yeah.
So is it possible to treat people with respect and also not put young women in danger? Yeah, sure.
Yep.
We've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. Well, and of course we have the greatest example of that, Jesus' ability to speak truth to power while also ultimately giving up the ultimate sacrifice for people who hated him and arguably responsible for his death is a good example of that balance there, which is hard. It's hard in the human world. When is it time to look somebody in the eyes and say a harsh truth? When is it time to handle it different? But it's something we need to figure out in our country. I believe that we have a lot more in common than we don't. But we end up arguing over a lot of things that, it's sort of like a joke sometimes about being married. Sometimes Chris and I have an argument about something, and then when you take the emotion out of it later and I set aside for 20 minutes and I think that was kind of dumb. Yeah. We don't really disagree on this thing. We're just, it's a different approach, or we're using a different word that means the same thing, but so I'm hoping that's something we can solve while we're pumping up.
I know, you can bond over.
Yes.
Getting fit.
That's the new X3 secret mission.
I only got married a couple years ago.
Oh, congratulations.
I'm 48, so I waited a long time to get married. And one thing that I have realized, I'm a guy, I'm logical. My wife finds this very irritating. However, the way I think will keep us alive and, fed. And the way she thinks will probably do the opposite. So when she's volatile and throwing out a bunch of emotional stuff, I just listen. I just go, okay, understand. Yeah. And it's like, if you listen long enough, they just give up. They're like, oh, okay. So what are we going to do? And then you say the logical thing and they're like, awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Literally.
Describe it exactly that way, but you are onto something.
I'm sure you wouldn't. But it's just real.
Again, if we go back, Tony teaches on this stuff, and it's very good about women want to be seen and understood. Right. And men need to be affirmed. They don't want to be coached. They don't, they don't want to be criticized. And it's like, okay, ladies, we can think about how we approach our men when we have concerns that don't drag them down. Yeah.
Never, ever, ever. Not only do I not lose my temper, I don't even get irritated. She can be saying something that would normally irritate a guy to the point where you'd be like, get the hell out of my house. And I just no matter what it is, I'm just like,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really a different take.
Well, that's good.
I haven't heard anything like that. So,
Yeah.
and it's like, if you don't get mad, then it's like, oh, okay, well, you now understand me. So my problem is solved. Which sort of denotes there was no problem to begin with.
What would you say to that, Chris?
Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes we just need to get some stuff off our chest. And that great piece of advice of, is this you just want me to listen, or is this you're asking me for advice about this? Right? And we can clarify that with each other. No, I just need to say this. But what I will compliment you on is being a safe place. Because if you are safe for her to be real and authentic and all the stuff that's going on, that's going to continue to serve you, because that's what builds transparency, trust, all of those things, is knowing that she can do that. And so I compliment you for that.
Yeah.
We were at a group dinner a couple, 2 weeks ago. She did the Las Vegas swim week. She's a model.
Okay.
And so she was walking for a bunch of different brands on the runway. And then we had a dinner afterward with a couple of the models, a couple of the photographers. And so she's bragging to one of her girlfriends, and everyone at the table could hear, but there was a few conversations going on. And she's like, yeah, John never gets upset. Like, no matter what I want to talk about, even if it's like completely crazy. And I leaned in and I'm like, completely.
You're like, you're right, because sometimes
in retrospect, she's like, yeah, like some of the things, she says are just totally nuts. But it's only in retrospect.
Well,
she also seems to think, this is great. I'm glad we're talking about marriage. This is definitely valuable information.
This is on point here.
For some reason, she thinks everywhere I go, women hit on me. This has never happened, ever. And by the way, it doesn't happen to Chris Hemsworth either. Like, it's not like he walks through the airport and women are like pawing at the guy. Like, no. Like, women don't do that ever. But for some reason, my wife thinks this happens to me. So like, I gotta let her know sometimes. Like, if I'm on a trip and I didn't bring her, there will be a FaceTime call that evening to make sure she knows that I went to bed, which is just horrible. I mean, other guys might get mad about that, but it's just like, you know what? You can check in on me all you want.
Oh,
well,
great?
Should I be offended? Because I don't think Kristen feels like the risk is high.
I don't worry about that. But what?
He has been married a little bit longer than Carol.
Also,
21 years. Yes.
This has come up in a joke before, but I also just tell him, I'm not worried about you. I have no concerns whatsoever.
Well, I'm with you. Chris and I went whitewater rafting on a Tony Robbins trip a few years ago. And I fell in and lost my wedding ring. So I don't have it. And I have it in my head that it's her responsibility to go out and purchase one and give it to me. And she doesn't feel a sense of urgency. But I'll tell you, in how many years of not wearing a wedding ring, I can't think of a single woman who I thought was even moderately flirting with me, which I am kind of disappointed
I actually
about.
get hit on more with my ring on than without.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's some women that
something
look
about
for that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's my real problem. Maybe that's what you're smart and you're like, I'm not going to replace the ring.
I don't want people to know that he's like a secure, stable provider.
Yeah. The women probably think I'm a deadbeat who's not married at 46 or something and probably should stay away from me. I don't know. But yeah, no flirting. I am a little, maybe I'll do a little bit of X3 though, and that'll change everything.
Yeah.
So I'll get slim down. But we're getting to the end of our time, and we like to do what we call our lightning round. We like to ask the same 3 questions of all of our guests. I think, Kristen, how about you ask question 1 today?
All right. So we like to ask, when you're getting close to the end of your days, which is many, many decades from now, and you want to look back at your life and think about your legacy, what do you think you'll be looking at that helps you know you've succeeded?
Man, I think I have a lousy answer for this question, but I got an answer.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that matters to me is friends and family.
Mhm.
I'm not defined by my career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
That's not a
cool.
lousy answer at all.
I do think that in maybe 10 years' time, I'll walk by a group of kids at the park and they'll be like, "Hey, did you know people used to lift weights? Like just like picking up rocks? Like what a bunch of idiots." That will happen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Because once you use variable resistance, you're not going back.
Mm-hmm.
Under all areas of what would be considered a highly developed athletic human.
Mm-hmm.
I was none of those metrics at 40 years old. So on my 40th birthday, I've been working with a machine shop that builds custom race car parts. I like cars. Like I've always had a lot of like crazy, interesting cars. So I worked with this race car company to make the first prototype of X3.
Oh, cool.
And within about 10 workouts, I started noticing just ridiculous strength.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I went from being a regular guy to a guy who could pick up a couple of small cars.
Mm-hmm.
And, just like, I thought it was going to be good. I did not realize I had that potential in me.
Mm.
And I don't have any, I have the worst genetics you could ever imagine for building muscle because of the tendon issue.
Mm-hmm.
So that and then, of course, I start distributing the product after I tested a couple years and got the right manufacturing partners and everything like that. I start getting it out there. Now, of course, there were some people who bought it and used it like once every other week and they didn't get great results. But the vast majority of people use it, like I said, and their results are spectacular. And I think that's like, I'll be walking through an airport and there'll be some in shape guy who's in his maybe late 20s who comes up to me and is like, "You changed my life."
Aww.
And then there'll be a 90-year-old guy who will say the same thing because it doesn't really matter your level of conditioning. Like if I'm doing overhead presses, it's lighter here than it is here. Well, the dangerous position is at the bottom. This is where you hurt yourself. Nobody hurts themselves as they get to the top. So I just, basically, like it's way too simple because variable resistance is more powerful because of the multiple fatigue points and all that stuff. But ultimately, it puts more load on muscle and less load on joints.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that, because Dr. Peter Attia is famous for saying this, the problem with weightlifting is it overloads joints and underloads muscle. Variable resistance does exactly the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why so many succeed with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just think of the health outcomes you're having people.
Yeah.
Helping people get, right? So that's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It's a great legacy.
Mm-hmm.
But now for something completely different, 90 seconds on something that's maybe taking you down the rabbit hole recently. Hobby, interesting book, a topic that's you're obsessing about. What's something that has gotten you interested in it?
Lately?
Yeah.
So, okay. I have recently formed an opinion. And most of what I talk about is not opinion. It's just fact straight out of research. And I'll do like a comparison to other research because like if like calories, for example, there's a lot of studies that are kind of all about counting calories. Well, the problem with the definition of a calorie is the way we know how many calories a cheeseburger is a device called a bomb calorimeter, which is basically an oven. So they put the cheeseburger in the bomb calorimeter and then light it on fire. And they determine how much combustible material is there to come up with a calorie number. Well, last I checked, the human body doesn't light anything on fire. So calories, we've been chasing a kind of a nonsense metric And I thought this whole talk track was just kind of a waste of time, mostly because we just don't have a better way to measure. So I can say the current way sucks, but there is no other way. So it's like kind of like, it's just an academic talking point. Like I can discuss this with researchers and we can, like talk about it, but there is no better way. Recently, I have done multiple deep literature dives on the GLP agonist peptide. So Ozempic, Wegovy, those are the brand names. They're usually called GLP 1, 2, or 3 if you're getting it from a generic place or a compounding pharmacy. If used correctly, and if you have a physician that understands nutrition, and that's difficult because maybe less than 1% actually understand nutrition. Or you could just follow my YouTube channel and I'll tell you what's up. These drugs are not harmful at all. In fact, they're not even really they're drugs, they're prescribed as drugs, but peptides occur naturally in the human body. Hormones occur naturally in the human body, which means that if you use them correctly, the chances of something going awry are pretty low. Now, nobody has a messenger RNA vaccine deficiency. So, right? So I want people to look at pharmaceuticals and say that in the world of pharmaceuticals, we got hormones, we got peptides, and we got chemicals that are not found in nature. If there is a demon here, it's here. It's the chemicals not found in nature. There's a lot of those things we find out, maybe a decade later that terrible things happen as a result of this. But
what's a good chance? Give us a shout out on your YouTube channel.
I can do that.
I mean, tell us. If people want to learn more, and you've been going down you've been talking about this. Where can they find that?
Yes, she's saying. Tell us where we can find you.
Jaquish Biomedical.
Okay.
So it's my last name, Jaquish Biomedical. That's my YouTube channel. But in it, I'm talking about how
because this is affecting so many people, right? A lot of doctors are prescribing it. They're trying to do things for diabetes and weight loss, and so I know this is a topic that's coming up a lot.
High level. So you'll do very well with these. You'll keep your weight down. You'll become stronger and leaner and live longer, but you got to keep two things in mind. Because you have a reduced appetite, all you can eat is animal protein. Eggs, meats, that's it.
Yeah, the muscle mass reduction is the big risk. Yeah.
And the muscle mass reduction is only from a protein reduction. That's why you have to prioritize protein. So it's got to be high protein. Now, essential amino acids are amazing. I make a product called Fortigen, which gives that, but that's a little in the weeds. So that's one thing. The other thing is, do not eat fiber. Do you know why?
No.
Well, think about it. Slows down your digestive system.
Oh, sure. Right. And if you're in and this stuff slows down the emptying of your stomach, right? Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So, and by the way, the amount, I think I haven't had a significant amount of fiber. Over a couple of grams of fiber since I think 2012. You don't need
very
fiber.
Different than what your mom and grandma would tell you. Get your fiber,
Yeah, that's how you keep regular. That's what I was told growing up.
Yeah, that's another
lie. This is good. Nice value add. We can learn more on your YouTube channel.
It's a great way to sell people cheap food because cheap food is high in fiber.
Right.
So
that's good to know.
76% of Americans are on some sort of government assistance for their food. Whether it's, I realize Social Security and welfare are completely different things. I get people upset at me all the time but for the purposes of this example, they're one and the same. Like if your budget is determined by the federal government would really like to give you $2 a day and tell you Oreo cookies are a great thing to eat, as opposed to saying, oh, now we got to give you $20 a day because you should really be eating ground beef, steak, and eggs. So no world government will get on the nutrition page. RFK is He's one of my really good friends. He's an amazing human being. I love the guy. He's fighting an uphill battle because ultimately part of the reason that the Food and Drug Administration is like, oh yeah, you need fiber. It's because fiber comes from grains, and grains are literally cheaper than topsoil.
Yeah. We can feed people cheaply, but doesn't mean we're keeping people healthy.
Yeah.
Or just like
right.
Well,
Well, and of course, nobody in the pharmaceutical industry has a problem with that. In fact, they like it because they create the medications that treat all of these problems that are caused by having a grain-heavy diet.
Well, real quick thing I'll mention, and then we'll get to our last question. But I did think your point about the nutrition and doctors, I've been told that so many times to be aware of that when you're looking for someone. But I saw that was an announcement that they made that a lot of these schools were going to add a nutrition, like a required nutrition class for doctors. So I think that's great. It's a step in the right direction.
This point moving forward, they need to teach nutrition, it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
Those are the physicians that are in school right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody who's been in practice, they have not a clue.
Hey, we're going to take our wins and we're going to build on them.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the best thing people can do is just educate themselves.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like I have a regular general practitioner who is probably one of the worst doctors I've ever met in my life, but I keep him as my doctor because I want my ear to the ground with guys like this, because he's the normal. Like that's what a normal physician, general practitioner physician will say. Like, diet doesn't make a difference, according to him. Like, you can eat whatever you want. It has no relationship to obesity, no relationship to your health, nothing.
Well, that's just crazy. I mean, that can't be real. That's insane.
But I mean,
that's just nuts.
There are many like top medical authorities in the United States that have said this. Now, should they be top medical authorities? No, I think they should be thrown in prison. But doesn't dismiss the fact that they're still saying it.
Yeah. Well, I want to do one. I always ask people, let's say we were going to clip 90 seconds out of this episode to put into a YouTube short or something. Do 90 seconds on why people should know about X3, for example. What do they get out of it? How do they find you, so that we'll have a nice gratuitous marketing piece right here.
If you care about your health and you want to look fit, chances are you tried lifting weights at one point and it just didn't work well. Like, either you got little results or it's more likely zero. Or after a couple of weeks, your results went to zero. Variable resistance facilitated by X3 will change everything for you. If you're not a fit person, if you've never been a fit person, I got news for you. If you do this correctly, and you do it every day, 6 days a week, you will become a person who is defined by spectacular physique and performance. And that's weird. Like, I thought I would be more fit when I developed the prototype. I didn't think people were going to stop me on the street and ask me if I'm in the NFL. And I'm 48. It's like, you're asking me if I'm in the NFL? I'm 40 years old? Like, clearly I'm doing something right. So yeah, it's the solution for the problem that I think you might have.
Well, I'm excited about it too. And I'm just so happy. I'm glad we had this conversation. It's kind of fun, wide ranging. We gave some marriage advice while we were at it, some good health advice, even talked about how to find manufacturing in America. So I think we've touched everybody who should be. So thanks for joining. For those of you who want to learn more, get in touch with John, you can find him his YouTube show. He mentioned it. Jaquish Biomedical, which is YouTube channel.
Jaquish.
You're also
Jaquish.
Jaquish.
Did it.
Jake. I see. I wrote it down and I even got it wrong. But Jake.
Yeah, the phonetic way to pronounce that is like Jake-wish.
Yes. And so find him there and learn more about the X3.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. This has been such a thrill. And thanks for sharing so much of your knowledge. And I know there's a lot more that we can gain by following you on YouTube. And for those of you tuning in, thanks for your time. We know how valuable it is. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss anything in the future. And we love reviews. And again, we invite you to join the Liberty Partnership community at libertyspenders.com. And again, you can get access to our book there, libertyspenders.com/free. Until next time.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Liberty Spenders podcast. If you're a business owner, we hope today's conversation gave you valuable insights on how to grow your business.
If you enjoyed the show, do us a favor. Hit like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. It really helps us reach more entrepreneurs and leaders like you who are ready to make an impact.
And write something flattering, because I read them all. Don't forget to grab your copy of Liberty Spenders too, available now on Amazon and at libertyspenders.com. It's packed with proven strategies to help you reach the 76.5 million consumers who are looking for brands that share their values.
We'll see you next time as we continue exploring how to grow your business with purpose and conviction.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode and the one after that.
So is this it right here?
Is it?
John, this is the X3.
It's the whole thing.
So we're talking
So the
about
bar,
this and
now
I'm
this-
envisioning.
You notice my hand right here will not move. You see how the hook?
Yes.
Yeah. So the hook will always keep your wrist neutral because there's a bearing inside. The bearings on each end that keep this moving independently. So you'll never like bend your wrist in an angle that'll hurt you. And,
Okay,
I mean,
so for
that's
those
no
of you who are
different than an
watching,
Olympic.
or for those of you who are not watching, I should say, it is minimal in size. So if you were conjuring up this idea in your head that you're like packing up your entire,
Yeah, this is a
Workout.
very
it's an
travel-worthy
unchecked
device.
bag, and
Yeah.
I've flown more than 1 million miles with my X3.
amazing. Amazing. Thank you for showing us that.